Peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we got a lot to cover, so we're going to just jump right in. First and foremost, the Georgia DA is facing a number of racist and intimidation, racist attacks, and a lot of intimidation as she moved forward in prosecuting the case against former President Donald Trump. We'll talk about the latest with that. Also, are Democrats limiting the power of choice? We had a heated conversation behind the scenes with my team, folks, but I'm going to bring it to you as we look at the landscape right now, as some of your major Democrats are making big moves that's going to affect the 2024 presidential election. Later on, we talk about how Black Florida churches are stepping up to teach history, and I got some other stuff lined up for you. So, folks, stay with us. There's going to be a lot happening on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we got a lot to cover. First and foremost, happy Friday. This is a great Friday because we're going to have some dope-ass conversations with you about what's going on with our politics, with our government. But first, let me do a little roll call for my culture crew that's checked in on our YouTube page as we're streaming live right now. Right there on our YouTube page, just go under Roland Martin's YouTube page, join us in the chat, and be a part of the culture crew for today. We're also streaming on our Facebook page under Roland Martin. And as you can see right there at the bottom of your screen, folks, just right here, all of the spaces that we are streaming on, and we want a big shout out for Amazon News as we are streaming on Fire TV. We're also streaming on Plex TV, and you can find us in a lot of different places on your Android, your iPhone. But make sure y'all do your due diligence, download the app for free, support us financially, and continue to be a part of the conversation. All right, let me do my roll call. I got Tiana checking in, Pauline, good to see you checking in. Deidre Hall, thank you so much. Conscious Thought, I'm waiting to hear what you got to say on these conversations, Conscious Thought. Thank you so much. My sister Cindy D, I want to hear from you as well. Lori Parks, I got you in here. Thank you so much for checking in. Who else we got here? With my pastor, Brother Damon Blissett. I'm looking for him. I see a lot of folks just coming into the room, so make sure you do your due diligence. Jump into the room, be a part of the chat, because we're going to get into some healthy, and I'm telling you, some very rich, vibrant conversations about what's going on right now. All right, this Friday, so let's get into it. I got my brother, who is a diversity, equity, and inclusion specialist. He is a brother that's doing some fantastic work on a local level as well as on a national level. And I'm so always happy to have him on here, my brother Shanadu Wakorfor. Brother Shanadu, good afternoon, sir. Happy Friday. How you feeling, bro?
Good afternoon, man. I'm good.
Good. Hey, take a look at this. Let's talk about, there are a number of things. So I'm gonna just kind of mash it all together and we're gonna work it out. All right, Shanadu, first and foremost, this latest situation coming out of Georgia where our sister Fani Willis, the district attorney down in Georgia, she has been enduring a number of racist attacks and a lot of intimidation as a result of her prosecuting the case against former President Donald Trump. Now, are we surprised that this is the case? No. We knew that this was going to be the case, and I'm sure she did. But the issue is, one of the things she has personally expressed throughout this whole ordeal is that a lot of her information, personal information about her, her family, and folks close to her is being exposed, shared online. We talked about this, folks. Y'all remember, crew, where we talk about how there were some Trump supporters who are gotten so enraged that they're putting out personal information, like the members that were part of the grand jury against that ruled against him down in Georgia. Now it looks like this situation is it's going after the district attorney, Fani Willis. Now, as y'all know, Brother Roland talked about how Fani Willis has officially dismantled Jim Jordan as a result of him trying to oversee the investigation, calling for certain documents, some level of evidence against the former president to see if she's doing her due diligence. She's been, and we're talking about Representative Jim Jordan, Republican out of Ohio, But she's been had to endure him, and now she's enduring this latest attack, racist attacks, intimidation from a number of people, from emails to her work to even, like I say, getting close to her family. Brother Sinedu, what do we make of this? I mean, again, I expected this. I'm sure she did too. But now, do you think that there should be some higher level of security around our sister while she's doing this work against the former president?
Absolutely. And it's unfortunate, and people may think this is not similar, but just looking at the intimidation, I just think of the face of Rudy Bridges when she was going to school for the first time, and all of when schools were being integrated, and all of those hecklers were trying to deter her from doing what she needed to do. And Rudy Bridges is still alive and still successful. And I think for our great attorney, I think the extent of the law needs to make sure that she's covered. And I think that needs to be on a federal level, state level. But I also think that our community, we've seen this before. This is a sister who is standing up for us, not only justice in America, but this is one of ours. We need to make sure that our community, that we are wrapping ourselves around her with good word and love and care, and just keeping an eye out, because this is getting dangerous. Because what this intimidation is meant to do is to stop anybody, but especially if you're a Black or a minority and a woman, or if you're two or more of those things that I put down, to stop you from doing what's right, what is just, what is American. And I think it should not be tolerated, and I don't think she's fazed.
Oh, no, she's not fazed, but she does take this seriously. She actually has filed a court document just yesterday in Atlanta, where she disclosed that personal information about her, her family, her staff was posted online, quote, intertwined with derogatory and racist remarks. So this is hitting close to home when you start dealing with family and staff and everything for simply doing what she was supposed to do, right? Whereas some people think that she's the enemy, others think she's the hero. But in that filing, it's the disclosure filed in the motion to protect the identity of the jurors in the case. And it just highlights the ongoing threats that she's enduring as she has handed down this 41-count criminal indictment against the former president. And to your point, this is something that she has to deal with, and unfortunately, if she doesn't deal with it, it may not. I mean, this might be a situation, Sinedu, where as a Black woman, she got to pave the way. She got to be the trailblazer. Because if she starts to bow down to the pressure, if she starts to, try to hide and go undercover, justice won't be served. Justice will not be served. So I agree with you. There needs to be some serious protection around this system. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's egregious. I think the Democratic Party needs to protect her. And I'm talking about security, folks. I'm not talking about just political protection. I'm talking about like security. Crute, share with me what y'all think should be done in this case. Should Fani Willis have physical protection? Should she get some additional protection for her family as she's going through this? I would love to hear what you got to say. We're going to take our first pause when we come forward, Sinedu. Let's get back into it. And plus, I got some other things that are happening within the Democratic Party. Big moves that are being announced over these past 24 hours. And I want to bring y'all up to speed. Stay with me. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
On his first day in office, with the country in crisis, President Biden got to work for us. Cutting Black child poverty in half, more money for Black entrepreneurs, millions of new, good-paying jobs. He's lowered the cost of living and prescription drugs. But there's more to do. He gets it, because we all deserve dignity, safety, respect, and a chance to do more than just get by, but to get ahead.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
When you talk about Blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is roland@rolandsmartin.com.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punching!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. We've been talking about the latest situation with Georgia District Attorney Fani Willis. This is the district attorney that is leading the investigation in the prosecution case against former President Donald Trump. She is the one that levied 41 counts against the former president and gave him his fourth indictment just a few weeks ago. Now, she is enduring a number of racist attacks, intimidation, and she has officially filed a motion in court yesterday and down in Atlanta, where she has shared her concern about her personal information, the impersonal information of her staff, of her family, as a result of her simply doing her job, folks. And so we want to talk about the implications of this, especially in this highly sensitive, polarized political environment that we find this country in, that we are in this place. So we've got my brother Sinedu Okorafor, joining us for this conversation. Brother Sinedu, I want to share what some of our crew members are saying. And for all of my new crew members, the crew members that came into the chat, big shout out to all of them. Brian Christian, I see you, brother. Pastor Damon Blissett, I knew you were coming, brother. Thank you so much, brother Mike V. Thank you, Jay West. Yes, sir. Good to see you, brother. Carolyn Harrison, thank you so much for checking in. You don't like my music? Thank you. Pretty Brown Mimi 726. Thank you. So I appreciate all my crew members checking in. But let me just share this very quickly, brother Sinedu, about what people are saying. You know, you don't like my music. You say you go to jail for a long time for threatening judges. Same thing here. You go and threaten a district attorney. You should be handled. I appreciate that. Mike V, you checked in and said, keep in mind, Farajii, that doxing and electronic harassment, cyber stalking are federal crimes. I would think that elected officials would be violating public trust if involved. That's very true. That's very true. Very, very true. I appreciate you for posting that. Thank you. Deidre, you said she needs major protection because we are dealing with idiots who are trying to target her just because. Ain't that the truth, Sinedu? You know what? We can act as if this is not one of those crisis moments, but this is a crisis moment. We're in a time, brother, where people who are fed a bunch of lies and are essentially indoctrinated, in some cases brainwashed to believe that our sister is the true enemy. And somebody may even try their hand to try to do something to cost her life. And this is the very real concern that I think we should all have, is that somebody may try to take out our sister because they don't want to see Trump brought to justice. What's your take on that, bro?
I agree. And I think who I'm looking forward to, who I think is a wonderful opportunity to speak up about this, to show that this is not partisan, is we should be hearing from former Vice President Michael Pence, because this is very similar to what he went through the day of January 6th, where he was doing his constitutional duty to continue with the results and get them certified. And people who did not agree all of a sudden wanted him to do something differently. What Jim Jordan is kind of pushing for, or what he is kind of caping for, is for somebody to do something to handle this attorney, that she be handled for doing her job, because it doesn't favor you. And I would love to hear from the other side, those who believe that this is beyond partisanship. It's just
we're not going to hear it, bro.
Law and order.
So, Nate, we're not going to hear it.
We know.
Hey, look. Let me just tell you. Let's think about the rationale, the logic behind this. If you are running for your life on January the 6th, literally running for your life, Mike Pence, all of those Republicans were running for their lives. I don't care what no one says. They were all scared. They didn't know what was going down. They didn't know how the situation was going to end up. You're running for your life on January 7th, on January 6th. January 7th, you have an opportunity to hold those people accountable, and you never do it. You see what I'm saying? So we're in a situation, and look how long it took for Mike Pence. He was flip-flopping on the fact of whether Trump was even responsible for that situation, right?
Imagine.
When they were calling for that man to be hung. So while I have no confidence, no faith whatsoever that the other side, and this is not because they're Republican, it's just because of what politics has done to these individuals, to the point where they're so wrapped up in the party thing, they're not even thinking about just the human side of it, the human element. These people were some of these Trump supporters would have killed these people if they were just in the chambers 2 or 3 minutes longer, literally. Craziness. Craziness. All right, let me throw this up in the mix here. As we talk about this, I want y'all to keep that in mind. Let's put that on the back burner. Let's talk about the simple fact. Now we are looking at a situation within the Democratic Party. Two things happened that I think over these past 24 hours, folks, that we should bring in mind. One is Nancy Pelosi has officially announced that she's seeking re-election to be House Speaker. She said this. She's 83 years old. Now, of course, we know she has a long, storied, historic career. She's one of the great trailblazers of the Democratic Party. She's been there. She's done that. She's dealt with, and then she's been a regular target of Republicans, right? But now, people were saying because of that attack on her husband that she was going to step down. She was going to kind of chill out a little bit. She officially announced that she's running for House Speaker again. Boom. That's one thing. The second piece is Governor Gavin Newsom. He came out to say just yesterday or just this past week that he will not be running for president of the United States, and he offered his support for President Biden. Take a look at this one. Let's put screen quote 1 on for the California governor, please, Keenan, at least. He said this. He said, and he's trying to put an end to speculation that he might run for president in 2024, saying he's all in for President Joe Biden. He said, I think we need to move past this notion that he's not going to run. He told NBC's Meet the Press host Chuck Todd in an interview, adding that he looked forward to getting Biden reelected. I think there's been so much wallowing in the past few months and hand-wringing in this respect, but we're gearing up for the campaign. We're looking forward to it. He said his message to donors wondering if the nominee will be someone besides Biden, he has said, time to move on, let's go. This is Governor Gavin Newsom. governor of the state of California. So Gavin Newsom is not running for president, folks. My question here is, are Democrats limiting the power of choice as we're looking at this landscape? Because guess what? I'm hearing it. Y'all hearing it. I'm hearing it. Everybody is saying, okay, Trump is going to be the nominee. That's one. That's not a guarantee. We know that is not a guarantee. Anything can happen, right? Anything can happen. It's 14 months until this national election. We do not know what's for sure. But okay, fine. We say Trump is the nominee. But for the Democrats, yesterday, literally yesterday, CNN did a poll, and we talked about this poll, Brother Shanadu, where CNN found that a lot of people do not, and I'm talking about Democratic voters, do not want to see Biden as the nominee. Now we have a party who is saying, no, he is going to be the nominee, and essentially, that's the guy. Where's the power of choice for the American people? What part of, and I'm not saying this because I'm saying this for the system and institution. Is this truly about democracy, making sure that the American people have the choices to be able to determine who the next person should be, especially if a large majority of those Democratic voters are not happy with this idea of Biden being the nominee? Or is this about a personality? Like, oh, we gotta stop Trump. Therefore, he's the only one that can stop Trump. Where's the power of choice? Where's that part of the American experiment called democracy? Talk to me, Shanadu.
It's not there. And I think we have to take a look at ourselves, whether you're Democrat, Republican, or independent. What this is like, it's boogeymanism. Both sides are doing it. Like, I'm the only person who can stand up. I'm the only. Everybody is not caping for Biden, who's a Democrat. And it's not saying that he did bad or did well. But the great thing about being an American is simply choice. We saw through the first couple of years that a lot of the folks on the progressive side were not excited about some of the decisions that are being made within this White House. But it seems like what's happening is the same problem that is happening on both sides. It's a system just being ran by the old guard. And I think it's beyond the candidates themselves. Hear me clearly. It is beyond Trump and it is beyond Biden. It is the systems. Those parties that keep the system running, they're doing something behind the back. Because what it sounds like to me, and it's not me being conspiratorial, it's just paying attention, with Gavin Newsom making that announcement. Gavin Newsom, you are young, you are fit, you are running one of the biggest, if not the biggest economy in our country.
Come on, man. Come on.
Why would you not? Why would you not make an inroad for a run? Who is telling you to sit down? And I say who is telling you because it seems like, based off of no one trying to contest against Biden, it seems as if everybody in the Democratic Party is here for Biden, and the stats and the data is not showing that. So what the hell is actually going on? That's
and that's the thing. And I got to take another pause. And that's the thing. If the polls are saying people are not happy, and this is the CNN, before CNN did this poll, we talked about other polls that showed that people don't want to see a rematch between Biden and Trump over these past months ago. They said the same thing in polls. But then both parties, take a look and listen to this, folks. I want y'all to think about this. We're going to take a pause. If one party is saying we're going to nominate a man that's been indicted and impeached, regardless of what the Republican voter wants. And then another party is saying, we're going to nominate a man who, even though some of y'all might be thinking he's too old, he may not have the mental capacity to do the job, even though it takes him a minute to get around to some of the progressive issues that are facing this country that need to be addressed, but we're going to still put him up a nominee. The American people, we're sitting right in the middle of this. And we're trying to figure out, well, what the hell are we doing? And then underneath all of it is fear. This fear campaign that, oh, if we don't put this person in, and I'm saying this is coming from both sides. We don't put this person in, then this could happen in Armageddon. And then if we don't put this person in, this could happen in Armageddon. But nobody is empowering the American people. Like, this is the long time, I think, for us to be putting out a fear campaign. This is the right time for the American people to become activated.
Absolutely.
this is the right time for us to become activists. Because at this point, what's the point of having debates? What's the point of having an election? A whole process of determining who the nominee is if it's already been determined 14 months before the election, these are going to be your nominees. And that's it. Nobody, no new ideas, nothing new. It's just, this is the guy. Folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, crew members, I'd love to get your take on this. Are Democrats limiting the power of choice? What's your take on this question? Join me in the conversation. We're streaming live on YouTube. That's under Roland Martin. We're streaming on Facebook. And of course, we're streaming on BlackStarNetwork.com, Amazon News, and Plex TV. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
On his first day in office, with the country in crisis, President Biden got to work for us. Cutting Black child poverty in half, more money for Black entrepreneurs, millions of new, good-paying jobs. He's lowered the cost of living and prescription drugs. But there's more to do. He gets it because we all deserve dignity, safety, respect, and a chance to do more than just get by, but to get ahead.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. We're asking the question, are Democrats limiting the power of choice where there's already this growing narrative that Biden is the guy, Trump will be the guy, and we may see a rematch of Trump-Biden come 2024. We're asking this question. Now, there's something I want to make a quick correction because I saw Timothy, you checked in, and I don't want us to be putting out any misinformation. So, Timothy, I appreciate you for making this and correcting, saying Nancy Pelosi announced that she would run for Congress again in 2024. She did not say she was running for Speaker of the House. You're absolutely correct. So I just want to correct myself in sharing that information, that again, she's not looking for the Speaker of the House, but she's running for Congress in 2024. So Timothy, thank you so much, bro, for correcting us. And it's all right to be corrected because we do not want to put out any misinformation about these serious matters. So again, Timothy E. Powell, thank you for making that correction, and thank you for being a part of the culture crew. But let's look at this. Are Democrats limiting the power of choice? Because that is important. Now, look, if President Biden, I want to bring Sinead back into this. If President Biden is the guy, Sinead, right? If he is the guy for the party, then let's not put out the narrative that he is the only guy. Let go through the process. Let's have these Democratic debates. Let's go through the process. You see what I'm saying? Because now, at this point, if the American people are always thinking Trump, Biden, Trump, Biden, Trump, Biden, Trump, Biden, y'all talking about getting people out to vote, that could be a form of disenfranchisement. Because why? People don't have a choice in the matter. When people are calling for a choice, this is on the Republican side and the Democratic side. So if Biden is the guy for the party, for the Democratic Party, by all means, let's go through the process. Let's have some debates. Let's hear the plan and the visions of other candidates. Am I wrong in thinking that, Sinead?
Not at all. And it's very simple. I'm not going to, or I shouldn't have to vote for you or choose you as the candidate just because you were the candidate last time and you're better than what's on the other side. That's very dangerous, because if it's because you're better than what's on the other side, then the bar has been minimized. And this is not to be critical of the Biden-Harris campaign. It's just about let's be fair and equitable. I wouldn't like it if it was done either way. Why not let it be a free race? Don't pick for me, because that is not democratic. And if everybody's saying we're not going to go against you, where is the democracy in all of this? Is this a fake democracy? Is that what's going on? And again, this is not to be critical of Biden. It's about being critical of the democratic process. Let us go through each step without skipping every time there's an election.
And I think that's what we're talking about, because at the end of the day, isn't this institution, this framework, this is what we're talking about, ensuring its integrity. And if we start getting into a space that candidates for this office are already, or nominees rather, the nominee is already determined, and these two people are already, I'm concerned that people will be turned off, that we may actually see a lower voter turnout. Some people said, and we were talking a little bit about this yesterday, Sinead, that some people said that like third party candidates, you might have like a Dr. Cornel West who could bring some new ideas to the table. See, for me, it's not about personality as much as it is about principles and ideas. We're talking about ideas, folks. Y'all want to know what's going to save America, quote unquote? New ideas. But new ideas can only come from people who have an empowered and progressive form of thinking. But the ideas have to be fresh. They have to be, like I said yesterday, we have to look at old problems from a different and new perspective. And sometimes we need that.
Yep.
We need that. Because see, here's the thing. Suppose Biden wins the presidency, right? And this is very real. Some people talked about his cognitive ability. If something were to go wrong, this is not, I'm just throwing out there what the talk is. Some folks are concerned that if his cognitive ability goes wrong, then Kamala Harris will step up naturally, right? That's the protocol. But it doesn't have to be a situation where it's like, if we put all the hope in one person instead of putting all the hope behind a specific idea or a larger cause. And that bothers me a lot, Sinead. That really bothers me a lot. You know what I'm saying? And it's strange for me to say this in terms of, because I know what this country has done to our people. I know what this system of government has done to Black and brown folks from around the world and have marginalized and disenfranchised them. But I am a true believer of ideas. I'm a true advocate of making sure that if we're talking about making progress, we can't have the same ideas. Now, if we're going to put our eggs in the Biden basket, here's the question. Are we going to bring so much fire that within the first year, we expect to get reparations, a major reparations piece of legislation nationally? We expect to get that policing bill through nationally. We need to hone in 3 or 4, or maybe 5 pieces of legislation that's been sitting that we can, this got to be a plan, a guarantee that it's going to be get through within the first year. First year, I'm not asking for year 3, year 2, I'm talking about year 1. Because don't give me the bobo and say, oh man, democracy. You limit my power of choice, but then you want me to believe and have hope in something that's not there. Talk to me, Sinead. I'm just saying, because I can't do this for another 4 years. And I'm talking about this empathy, just putting all of our eggs in one man's basket, this go along, get along type of politics. I can't do it.
Yeah, and if you're going to be our president, which again, not against, you have to answer for the mandate for Black people. What was done for us that first term of yours? Get into details. It's not enough just to say that you have a Black VP. It's not enough. We appreciate it. It's not enough though. What is the agenda? What are the agenda items that have been completed for Black people? And I'm not talking about indirect, because things like the infrastructure bill, it will help us, but that is not a direct thing that was targeted towards African American people. That's what I want to know. What's going on? What's going on with the mandate for my community? Because you can't tell me to vote for you and that you'll do more next time, when I need to know what you're doing this time. What have you done this go around? We're not done with the student loans. We need to know more about that, because that was a huge equalizer for not only African Americans, but for minorities as well. Clearing that debt would have brought African American people to a stabilized point where young people my age could actually look forward to getting a home and not being in debt just to do so. I know what the Supreme Court has done. What are you now going to do about that? These are the type of things that I need to be hearing about now. Let's not wait until it's next year and we're down to the wire. I need to hear about it now, right now.
All right. And look, my sister, infamous Kiki, you bring up an excellent point. You made 2 comments. I'm going to share them with you for everyone. You said, 1, I believe in ideas too, but I believe in money too. Where's the Black super PAC? I'll wait. That's our problem. We're too naive. Facts. I agree with you. Because you know why, infamous Kiki? Because Black folks have been told that our power is in the vote. Not that our power is in the advocacy, lobbying, but our power is just going to the ballot box. That's why we push, and that's why I'm saying we could talk about going to the ballot box. That certainly is something, but the power, corporate America doesn't go to the ballot box. They just put money on the table. I agree with you. 1,000%. So if we're talking about putting some new ideas, you said it in your second comment, money and power are needed to push ideas, Black super PAC. I hear you, and I'm in full agreement. But we got to get out of, and this is probably why part of me is like, it's okay that we could, if Trump comes in office, maybe that will wake us up. Because I feel like we're just too comfortable. Is anybody else feeling this way, crew? Are we just too comfortable? We like, oh, well, Biden's going to get in, bop, bop, bop. That we're going to fall asleep again. We don't have the liberty to fall asleep on a serious time like this. So Kiki, appreciate you. Very excellent points. Karen, you said Farajii, other prospects are discouraged due to lack of funds to compete. Without a super PAC to help fund the campaigns, other better candidates lack the multi-millions. This is the sad truth. You're absolutely right, Karen. You're absolutely right. But so maybe there's got to be a different plan, a different strategy, a reprogramming, a re-education of the Black voter, where the Black voter truly understands it's not just about going to the ballot box. It's about putting money on the table. It's not just about going to the ballot box. It's about advocacy and lobbying. It's not just about going to the ballot box. It's about having an organized front so that if your vote doesn't seem, you could bring somebody in office, they can give you all of the sweet nothings in your ear on before election day, then you vote for them, and then come after election day, they don't have no time for you, then you can bring some fire to their asses through our unity. So if we're talking about some real stuff here, see, this is the thing, like, I don't want us to keep being asleep. I want us to be empowered. I want us to be engaged. I want us to have the political power. Let's keep it real. And I've made a comment like this on IG. I was on IG yesterday, and we talked about the vote, the vote, the vote. Our people did not die and sacrifice their life just for us to cast a ballot. They died and sacrificed their life to have political power. That's a different idea than just voting as a part of it, but political power is what our people sacrifice for. Y'all talk to me. Talk to me. Political power. How do we have political power? Sinead, I want to see if we got my man Sinead, because I hope we didn't lose him. All right. Sinead, it's not about just casting a ballot. Mm-hmm. Our people wanted political power. At that time, we couldn't go to the ballot box. Mm-hmm. So the Voting Rights Act had to be enacted. And now, 50 years later, 60 years later, do we have political power? Mm-hmm. Even though we vote? No, we don't. Because we wouldn't be asking the questions like Kiki brought up. We wouldn't even be talking about having a super PAC if we had political power, because we will already have one. Mm-hmm. Come on, man. You got the final word on this.
I think to the point of what Kiki said, it might be time that we do create a super PAC. And this is not me being ageist, but I will say this. It seems like the younger generation is the one that feels the most unheard, but we have a huge access to capital. Maybe it's about time we put a lot of our money where our mouth is, and so that, because that's the way the political system works in this country. If you don't have that super PAC representing you, you don't get too far, because what it seems that's happening is when the elders, who I respect so deeply, folks like Clyburn, they get in there, all of a sudden they speak for all of Black America. And I'm like, hold on, that's my elder and I respect him, but all of our values are not syndicated together. And we might want to have that conversation, because that's the political game. If you're going to win this political game in this country, it don't work without super PACs. Maybe it's time that we start caucusing ourselves in different delineations of different groups within the Black group. It just can't be one Black thing and we're all in the CBC and that's all we got. Maybe it's about time that we start considering caucusing in different levels, in different ways.
Come on.
Different
Come on. There it is. Look, we got to take another pause. I know, Brother Sinead, you got to jump off, but I truly, truly appreciate you spending us a few extra minutes with us this afternoon, giving us your insight, brother. So God willing, we'll reconnect with you next week. But you know the conversation going to stay hot over this next hour. Absolutely. Folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's continue to talk about this. I'm going to bring in our other Culture Crew member, Corinna Denise, to check in. She's been very vocal, and I know she got a lot to say. So we want to hear from her. We got that conversation that will continue to happen. Also, folks, I got to talk about this idea of corporal punishment in schools, and how some Black churches in Florida are stepping up to fill in the gaps of teaching Black history to Black children, because Florida doesn't want to. We got a lot to cover in the next hour. Stay with us. It's The Culture right here, exclusively here on the Black Star Network.
On his first day in office, with the country in crisis, President Biden got to work for us. Cutting Black child poverty in half, more money for Black entrepreneurs, millions of new, good-paying jobs. He's lowered the cost of living and prescription drugs. But there's more to do. He gets it because we all deserve dignity, safety, respect, and a chance to do more than just get by, but to get ahead.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is roland@rolandsmartin.com.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punching! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being part of the conversation. Folks, I want to do a due diligence and make sure that we continue the conversation on the others, finish the conversation we just had before the pause, because I think it's important. And so many of you are checking in as we're streaming live on blackstarnetwork.com, Amazon News, on your Fire TV, Plex TV. We're streaming on Facebook. We're streaming on YouTube right now under Roland Martin. And so many of you have been checking in from all across the country to share your thoughts on this big question that we're posing for our big culture convo, which is, are Democrats limiting the power of choice? Are Republicans, we could throw Republicans in it, the same thing, where we're talking about two men, Biden and Trump, possibly being the nominees for both parties, possibly having a rematch for the 2024 election, and the implications of this. Now, infamous Kiki, you checked in and you brought up an excellent point talking about the value, the importance of super PACs. And I agree with you. Money has to be behind it, because that's what moves politics nowadays, money, but unity. Having an organized group of citizens is also the other part, right? So you're absolutely right. And that's what a super PAC, that's what a PAC does, that you have an organized group of people who are putting some money up, and they are determining which candidate speaks to their interests. And then when they find a candidate that has some similarities to their interests, then they go and they vet that candidate. And they inform that candidate, look, you seem like you're on the same page as we are. So here's what we would like to do. We would like to support you, but here are our agenda items. See, and I think for Black people, we have been given the bobo. We have been given the dog and pony show. You have other groups of people, you have institutions, you have corporate America that understand that nothing can move in this country without money. They understand that in order to get a politician's attention, to get your interest on their agenda, that you got to put money on the table, you got to show force. But Black folks, we have always been just taught a very small level of political engagement. Just vote. Not lobby, not creating super PACs, just vote and everything will be okay. And I'm saying, and I want to bring my sister Corinna Denise in a moment, and I'm saying, is this message resonating with people to the point that encourages people? And I truly believe, as strong as the message that it is, as good as the message that it is, it's not resonating. Because if we want to fall back on the historical context of the historical relevance of voting, you're not going to get the same level of connection, especially from the next generation, the new voters, the 20 plus year old voters, because unfortunately, our culture does not respect history at this point. And our culture, outside of the past year or two, when you start talking about 1950s and 1960s or anything, you start to lose people, unfortunately. Now, you tell me if I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'm willing to, correct myself. But it's not resonating. Now, does that mean that we should stop telling people not to vote? No. But I think we should definitely have some other things in the arsenal. I think we should really have some other tools in the toolkit. Let me bring my sister in. Corinna Denise. Corinna, you lighten up the chat.
You know it. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Corinna. Always a pleasure to talk to you, as you are working in the education space. You're an activist as well. But you lighten up the chat today. You talking about this. You brought up some valid points. You talked about the point of, Biden's age and how this is an ongoing conversation. And I get it. It's really a non-starter because Trump, even though people acting like Trump don't have no cognitive issues, he's old. And if you listen to Trump in any interview, and I'm gonna just throw this out there. Go to an old Trump interview when he was interviewed by Oprah, say 30 years ago, 40 years ago. You can tell that he is suffering from cognitive issues too. Let me just tell y'all, he just hides it better. But if you listen to his interviews with like Tucker Carlson and stuff, his stream of consciousness is just all over the place.
Yeah, but Farajii, here's my thing. In my view, the conversation all around Biden's age is irrelevant right now. Okay.
I get you.
Let me tell you why. Because if we're really going to have a conversation about age, it needs to be substantive. Okay. If we're going to talk about age, why are we just talking about the president when nearly the whole damn of Congress, okay, the Senate, a whole bunch of old folk are up in there? But why are they there? Because not enough of us are voting. Not enough of us are running for office. They don't have to be there.
I don't think that's the only reason, though.
No, it's not the only reason, but it's one reason. It's a couple of reasons. Why are they?
Nancy Pelosi is talking about going back to Congress. She's 83 years old.
Okay, so then who is contesting her seat? Who is rising up against her? So
I don't know. I don't know.
We're complaining.
If anybody, hey, look, let me throw it out there. If anybody that lives in San Francisco and is in the chat, tell us who is contesting her seat. Because this is what I've learned living in Baltimore. Sometimes we get so comfortable as voters that we want to put people back in office because we have a semblance of they're a nice person, their name is more highly recognizable. They may have done some things, right? But that idea of putting some new person into it scares us, Corinna.
It can be scary, but then if we're going to be having these conversations, then these are moves that we have to consider making, right? Otherwise, why are we having the conversation? Either we're going to work to figure out creative solutions, right? Or we're going to be in a perpetual cycle of this ongoing debate about age, okay? And something else that's really, really stressing me out, Farajii, In my view, again, I think we are so laser focused on just the presidential election, which is very, very important. But equally so, we need to be focused on these Senate and House races. Okay.
Boom. I agree.
I agree. Because at the same time, all right, if the legislative branch is not in order, okay, the judicial branch suffers and the executive branch has limited power. So we need to be talking about that. Something else too, we want to talk about our president and his age and all this stuff. Okay, well, y'all talk about Mitch McConnell? He done had a couple of freeze-ups. I need the energy to be even across the board. That's all I'm saying.
No, that's agree. I agree. I agree.
We need to talk about it full circle and consider everyone. And I just think we are laser focused on the president's age right now. And it has been a very intentional, calculated, and a great distraction because that's what we're focused on. Okay. And the last thing I'll say, because I know we got to take a break. We're raising the question, are Democrats limiting the power of choice? You know what? There are a lot of factors going into there. I will definitely agree to an extent, but what happened in 2016? I remember a whole bunch of people running to be president of the United States. Y'all didn't vote for them. Did anyone vote for Elizabeth Warren? Then Senator Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, all those people who were running for the presidency. It's like, oh, and then we're voting for the lesser of two evils. Well, how the hell did now President Joe Biden get the nomination? So I think this also speaks to the lesson of how important our primary presidential elections are as well. And now,
so here's the thing. Here's the thing. Let me say something that speaks exactly to that point. At that point in 2016, right, we had more candidates, we had more choice, right? My concern is that we may not see as much choice then. I mean, as much choice now.
I agree.
You see what I'm saying? Like you, and then you ask now, who was the surprise front runner at that time? Before Biden went to South Carolina and met our brother down in South Carolina and got that boost, who was Biden? He was ranking number 4. Who was he? Who was the front runner at the time that concerned the Democratic Party? Come on, y'all say it with me. Senator Bernie Sanders.
Who was around the same age.
Who some people say, oh, he's a radical. He's crazy. He's a socialist. But in the big scheme of things, if you looked at, again, I'm a man of ideas. I think that. So we put Joe Biden in. He made that stop in South Carolina. He got a boost. The narrative changed about him. He was the vice president of the first black president and all of this other stuff, all of the kind of like, the frilly thrills type of stuff. But then he had to be brought up to speed on the changing dynamics of this country. Because he wasn't speaking too strong at that time about Black Lives Matter. He wasn't speaking too strong about the police code.
Anybody who's in the branch. That goes right across the line.
Right. So look, let me take this quick pause. When we come back, more conversation. Got my sister Corinna Denise, Culture Crew member. Culture Crew, y'all just checking in on our YouTube chat under Roland Martin. Join us in the conversation while we can. Dan Gerendal, thank you so much for your donation. You made the question, why should any politician help any community? Unproductive people should not demand other people to help them. Maybe Corinna can speak to that when we come back. Folks, stay with me. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
President Biden has delivered for Black America. More funding for Black entrepreneurs. Millions of new good-paying jobs. He's lowering the cost of medications and the cost of living. Joe Biden is delivering for us, and that's the facts.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punching! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. Talking about, are Democrats limiting the power of choice when we talked about the fact that Nancy Pelosi has decided to run again for Congress, 83 years old. Some people thought she was going to kind of walk away or step down a little bit, especially given the attack on her husband. But she has decided, she has announced that, no, I'm going to be back. I'm going to still stay in the thick of things. I'm going to stay in the fray. Governor Gavin Newsom has said that he is going to be putting his full support behind President Biden in his reelection bid. So that takes Governor Gavin Newsom out of the equation of being a possible nominee for the Democratic Party, a person that, even though he has some skeletons in his political closet, folks were a little bit more welcoming to the idea that that the governor of one of the largest economies in the country is going to be throwing his hat in the conversation for president. Well, since that's not looking to happen, now we're back down to where we currently are. Now, this is not a conversation, and I want to be very clear, this is not a conversation about just the personality of the president. This is a conversation looking at the bigger picture, the broader landscape. And the great concern that I have that we are supposed to be a part of a system where choice is the number one priority, which is why we go through the voting process to determine who is best fit to speak to our issues, to speak to our concerns, who's going to move the country forward in the direction that this country needs to go. We're talking about choice. So I've been talking and chatting it up with my sister, Corinna Denise, who is a college advisor. She's an activist. She's a voter. And she's checking in from all the way from the state of Florida to talk to us about this situation. This is all about choice, Corinna. This is, for me, I like choices. I like choices in my personal life. You know what I'm saying? I hate to go to a place and they give you like one thing to eat and you're like, well, I have a dietary restriction, and they give you like one thing to eat and be like, well, you could just have salad. And you're like, I'm leaving the place because I don't have choice. I love choices. And I think the American people, especially Black America, we deserve choices. Now, if we find that the choices that we have that should represent a school of thought that is across the spectrum. Yesterday, we talked about bringing Dr. Cornel West. Imagine if you do have all of these different candidates on the stage for Black America, for white America, for all of America to see, and I'm talking about Democratic voters to see, that we would be in a space that's like, okay, this is more representative of where we stand in America. And if we choose somebody from that group, if it's Biden or whoever the case may be, then so be it. But I just don't think that it's healthy or beneficial for us to kind of already get into this narrative that Trump may win, he's going to be the guy, and if we don't push this one candidate, then we can't stop Trump from winning. And now going to your point
about pushing the one candidate, Farajii, I think we need to be prepared to support. No, I'm not saying it's only about that, but I'm saying I think we need to be prepared to support whoever the Democratic nominee is, right? But again, we keep talking about the presidency, and we need to be equally focused on the Senate and the House. So even if Governor Gavin Newsom decided to run, I have yet to hear anyone, even Dr. Cornel West, are you going to give him the Senate and the House to pass the legislation that we need? Oh, and speaking of young folks, how about we at least elevate the younger folks, per se, who are actually already there, like Hakeem Jeffries? Why don't we make sure, okay, that the House gets their majority back so he can become the damn Speaker of the House? How about that? Okay, because the House,
that's a good point.
They were the chamber, okay, who passed all of the legislation that we wanted. They passed the Voting Rights Act. That shit got killed in the Senate. They passed, the George Floyd policing bill, a plethora of other bills. They passed the bills that were on our agenda that we wanted, but they lost their majority anyway. Why the hell did that happen, Farajii? Why isn't Hakeem Jeffries the speaker instead of minority leader? So we need to also focus on 2024 to make sure that he is in that position.
I agree. I agree. I think
VP, Speaker of the House, let's make sure we get that in order too. And I hear what you're saying. I really do. But I think when we stay laser focused in that area, these other important areas are being swept under the carpet. And we need
I agree. I agree. Look. Hey, Corinna. Hey, Corinna, the point you're bringing up is exactly the point we need to hear. And I totally agree with you, because even though people, and this is the response I give people when people say, well, if Trump gets in office, we're in trouble. Yeah. But we still have the states. Trump is just and I'm saying it may not be him, but if it's a person who thinks like him, you still have states that have a lot of control in this quote unquote democracy.
Farajii,
you have a lot of states. So you still got governors, you still got senators. Say it again.
If a GOP nominee gets in power, we are done. Okay, we should already be.
Okay, but look, let's put this back. I wasn't around for this, but I know that based upon my history, people say the same thing about Nixon. People said the same thing about Reagan. People said the same thing about George Bush Sr. People said the same thing when Al Gore was running. Who was he running against? Dan Quayle? No, it wasn't Quayle. But people have said the same thing every time. And I'm saying that where we look at history every time, even George Bush Jr., people say, if he gets into office, we're done.
Well, this time
we have, and I'm saying there's got to be a different strategy, Corinne. There's got to be a different message. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm thinking too crazy.
Well, we got to get some more power first. Then we can exercise different messages and whatnot. But until we decide to do that, like I said, remember in Lafayette Park when Trump let the bomb off on the protesters? He wanted to have us under martial law. If the military had been to his will, we would be under dictatorship as we speak. Okay.
Wait a minute, hold on though. But what is the big word that you just mentioned in that? If.
Well, there's a strong possibility. It took them 50 years, but they overturned Roe, didn't they? They're close to getting
and guess what? Here's what I'm saying. Look, here's what I'm saying. Human nature will show you, science will show you, people are more apt to go a certain way, to do a certain thing or make a certain decision when they feel empowered. If you work from a place of fear, then that restricts our thinking to be able to decide what's the best course of action. When you are afraid, you clam up, you just start, your thinking becomes irrational in some cases, right? And I'm saying for us as Black folks in this country, we have been working from a place of fear for too long. I'm saying for us, whatever we choose to do, and I'm with whatever our people do, but let's not work from a place of fear. Let's work from a place of gaining power. That's all I'm saying.
Well, we got to start at the ballot box to gain the power. Ain't no way around it. We can lobby, but ain't no way around it, Farajii.
All right. Listen, look. I got to take another quick pause. When we come back, we're going to continue the conversation. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
On his first day in office, with the country in crisis, President Biden got to work for us. Cutting Black child poverty in half, more money for Black entrepreneurs, millions of new, good-paying jobs. He's lowered the cost of living and prescription drugs. But there's more to do. He gets it because we all deserve dignity, safety, respect, and a chance to do more than just get by, but to get ahead.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay Black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind $100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture. Corinna, let me bring you back in because you and me, we got the whole chatting.
Yeah, you gonna run up my blood pressure today.
Hey, no, I'm not running up your blood pressure. No, the first thing, I got nothing but love and respect for you because of the brilliance that you bring to the table. And I agree with you. I just think that we're in Black America. We're in a very, very serious time. And I think all of us understand this. And I'm looking at the comments from our colleagues in our chat, our crew members here. Look, we all understand this. I think if nothing else, we're all on the same page. We want to see some changes. We're all trying to figure out the best way to do it, right? The best way to get there. And so when I see this situation happening, and I'm talking about all of these like moments brewing, right? It's like you brought this point of young people being involved. Well, we always know that as much as the Justins are going through those situations, where are the elders in Tennessee? Where are the elders in Tennessee that are supporting the Justins? I mean, we hear about it, you know what I mean? Like we hear about it. I'm talking about outside of Tennessee. But correct me if I'm wrong on this, crew, and I don't mind being corrected. But have we seen the elders like really take up for these guys? You see what I'm saying? Like there's something that is happening where you got the old versus the new, the fresh versus the stale. You got, I mean, and to the point.
So, not to interrupt you, but something that
go ahead.
Who are we considering to be an elder? Because I clearly remember Vice President Kamala Harris gathering up her team, basically saying, y'all need to gas up Air Force 2 and get me to Tennessee immediately.
But that's all fine. But I'm saying on the ground level, you see what I'm saying? Like you can get a Vice President Kamala Harris in to say something. But I'm saying on the ground level, those brothers are still catching hell.
We need to see from the youngest to the oldest.
That's what I'm saying.
Personally, now that you mentioned, I want to say this quickly. Something I really would have wanted to see, and I think it was a missed moment for our president, was back a couple of months ago when the Justins, as we lovingly know them, were expelled from the Tennessee legislature. I thought that was really a profound moment. I really would have liked to have seen President Biden address us, right? Prime time, do something from the Oval to address how damning that was and how we're going to start to see this being reflected in our other state legislatures, right? I also think it was a missed opportunity back in, I believe it was 2022, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, was it 2022 or 2021 when the Texas Democrats were in DC for about a month, trying to hold up the session that racist Hot Wheels was trying to have, so that would have been another time to, address the nation per se. And he never met with the Texas Democrats. So I think our elders need to show up in that way. But right now, we need everyone. I don't know if I just don't think we have time to be allocating these specific groups, the elders and this one and that one. We need everyone to rally together because while these conversations are important, I don't want to negate that. In a sense, I don't want to live in fear, but sometimes, Farajii, in all transparency, it is kind of discouraging for me because I'm like, damn, we are really in trouble. And I don't know if enough of us understand that because I know what you mentioned before we went to break. Yes, under Reagan, under Bush, oh my gosh. But this time, they really can lock in the power. They know by 2043, they are done as a majority. We are the global majority. So they need to hold on to white minority rule. And we can't have any power if it doesn't start at the ballot box. A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about here in my home state, Florida. You asked me, do I see any, means to a reversal policy? Why the hell would that racist ass legislature do any reversal policy, Farajii, when there's no threat to them at the damn ballot box? So I'm not saying we're not supposed to protest.
Here's my concern about that.
Threaten that they're going to get fired if they don't push what we're protesting for. Then they're like, okay, whatever. They're going to calm down eventually, and we're going to move right along and carry out our agenda. And that's what I'm speaking to.
I hear you. Here's my concern. We're dealing with groups of folks, not just in the Republican Party. It could be corporate America in some cases, right? But we're dealing with groups of folks that don't give a damn about the vote.
And we have to change that.
We don't have to. And no, what I mean by that is that they know that that's the thing that you put out to the masses of the people. But behind closed doors, they're pulling the strings because they understand that the leverage of power comes down to money and being organized and holding people accountable. And those are the things, you know. I think someone asked in the chat, one of the crew members said, well, what else can you do besides voting? Put some money on the table, organize yourself, and have a mechanism to hold politicians accountable when they don't
annoy
meet your
the
interests.
hell out of your elected officials. You better.
And I'm not talking about. Look. I'm talking about that level of. And see, here's the thing: we got people in our community that were willing to go guerrilla warfare, quote unquote, right? And I'm not talking about running up in people's homes and doing violence. I'm talking about guerrilla political engagement, where they will meet a candidate at a situation, at an event, and be like, well, so what's up with this? Why aren't you doing that? You know, that type of thing, right? But we got all these brilliant folks in our community that know about politics, that want to be engaged. I don't think any person who is conscious in Black America is not concerned about the state of America right now. I don't think that. I think that we're all, from the lowest quote unquote to the highest quote unquote. I think each one of us who have any semblance of consciousness, we're really concerned about Black America, because you know why? We got children. Mm-hmm. We're talking about legacy. We got our family. Like, we're very concerned, right? And I think that a lot of times people are not voting as much as we like to see, because it hasn't garnered the results that we were promised and guaranteed.
But quickly, after we voted, to your point, that's not the only arsenal in our toolbox, right? So how many of us are actually making an educated vote at the ballot, voting down ballot, and following up, staying involved after voting, you know? So I think there are lots of different pieces why, you know, there might be some people who are uneducated about that, Farajii, who just thought, yeah, I cast my ballot, and now they just sit back and they're like, well, what happened? Not realizing that they needed to apply pressure, that they needed to listen, that they needed to protest. So I think we have to educate them on that, right?
I think so. Here's the thing: if I got to educate you, now I'm you talking about your full transparency. Here's my full transparency. If I got to educate you about you know, sustaining your life, then that's a problem.
Well, this is true.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, if I got to teach you how, then we're not even talking about voting. We got to go back to something else. You know what I'm saying? We got to have a different conversation.
But it sounds.
Look. We at different levels of the game, right? Yeah. But if I got to educate you and be like, yeah, man, you know, and I got to go through policy 101, then you're not part of this conversation. At this point, I'm talking about the informed, the conscious voter, the person that's sitting on the side. They may have voted in a couple of elections, but they may not have voted in a couple of elections. We're talking about those folks, I think, more importantly than just, because if we got to go to ground, if we got to go to start at ground zero, for you to be like, well, why do we need to vote? Like, I can't do this.
Well, that's true. I'm trying to focus on the folks that I can just rile up. We need to save ourselves, and I'm not trying to eat grass, y'all. I don't want to be in.
No. Very quick. Suzette Speaks checked in. She brought up an excellent point. Your sister, my sister from the great state of Florida, she said, we have a lot of apathy too. And I got to take another pause, but we discount that people do feel apathetic about getting involved. They're just not feeling like, hey, what's the point? Now, do we keep driving this thing home, or do we offer some different options? Because that's what it is. Look, if we had a situation where you say, all right, you can vote, you can be a part of the super PAC, you can help us with some direct action on the political side, you can help us to build a Black candidate, you know, help us to identify a Black candidate, give stuff to people for people to do. So that way people can feel like, you know what, here's where my talents could be best. We only giving folks one lane. We're only giving folks for one lane. And people are just, we're everywhere right now. We're everywhere right now. And it shows. And when it comes back, if we got to take this pause, when we're talking about looking at this upcoming election, we got to put something. We got to put a different strategy on the table, folks. I got to take another pause. Stay with us. It's the culture here on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for a Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Got my sister Corinna Denise joining me today, as she does every Friday here on The Culture, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, let me go to some of the crew members. Because folks, and because Corinna always want to take me to task on Fridays, man.
Mm-hmm. Let's go.
All right, Benny Hill. Benny, you said we might be cousins, actually. Benny said we might be cousins. I don't know, Benny. We might be. Anyway, you said too tired of hearing go vote and watching generations get ignored or underserved. Those same groups are then blamed for systemic issues. Doesn't the system foster an uneducated voting class? Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Benny. I'm tired too. In all honesty, I am tired too. But at the same time, I know my ass is going to vote. Because
let me be very clear. I should wear a shirt that just says I'm a vote, because some people tend to believe like Farajii not going to vote. I'm going to vote. Calm down, y'all. I'm going to vote.
Fine, because
that's not the problem.
Easily influence people, Farajii, who will think otherwise. So
yeah, but see, I'm not telling you. I'm trying to get us to think critically. Like I'm not just because we can't just be like, I'm gonna vote and then we vote and then we do what? What else we gonna do? Be like, well, that's all we need to do. No, it's not. Thank you so much, Benny, for checking in. Monkey Confessions, you said, I don't want another Hope and Change candidate. The Black community was devastated under Hope and Change. Change for other groups, actual policy, hope for the Black community. Was that a job at President Obama? Would you think that was a... Were you trying to go after President Obama right there, Monkey Confessions? I want to know. But here's the thing. I think we do need some hope, though. We need some hope. I'm not gonna discount the power of hope, because that's hope and faith is Lord.
Always need hope. But you know what,
Farajii,
with Monkey Confessions, that last comment that was made, it makes me think back to something that Roland always talks about, how Black folks stayed at the inauguration for President Obama, and we didn't apply enough pressure. What we should have done. Do we realize he had a supermajority Senate in the beginning of his first term? Spending all this time making deals with Republicans about the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare. Okay, and then the bill was still weaker in the end. That's not to take anything away. It has changed millions of lives. But what I am saying is that there was actually, the numbers were there to vote it in to pass that legislation through as it was initially proposed. But we were thinking that we were working under the pretense of a democracy, right? And we spent all that time. We need to get a supermajority back. So I think we can actually start to sustain more of that hope if we actually did maybe a hostile takeover of the Democratic Party, because that's the avenue.
But you know what, though?
Fighting chance.
Here's what infamous Kiki said And I agree with you. She said we're 15% of the country's population. I think we're actually like a little bit, I think, Kiki, I think we're like 13% if I'm not mistaken. So if anybody want to fact check, give us the real numbers. But the point is, we are such a small part of the population of the country. She made the point that we need other people to help us.
Oh, of
right?
course.
So we're at a point right now that if every single Black person voted, we still would be in need. We would still be lacking the type of.
I think that would depend on your state. Look at Brother Gary Chambers in Louisiana. A good
hit me.
Okay.
Hit me. Yeah.
We always talking about how some skin folk ain't kinfolk. He was kinfolk. We saw him light up Connie's ass at that school board meeting, right? Back in 2020. Why the hell did he lose, Farajii? The numbers were there, but people didn't show up. So now we got racist ass Senator John Kennedy.
Well, why didn't they show up? No, but here's the question. It's instead of us getting mad at the people for not showing up, we should be asking the question, well, why didn't you show up? Why didn't they show up?
Why didn't you show up?
Was it because they don't care? Was it because they didn't know what's happening? Was it because they weren't satisfied with something?
Why didn't they show up? Of all of those things, and we got to start changing those dissatisfaction, not knowing, okay, into being satisfied, being educated. We got to flip that around. Us who are politically astute per se, and who think critically, and we have these conversations all the time. We have to start taking that back into our communities and walking people through and showing them how this impacts your life, because we are in trouble and we cannot afford to continue. If we ever want to see this, thing of democracy, because what's been unveiled more than anything is that we don't really have a true democracy. We never have. We go into other countries and we're telling them how to run their country, how they should set things up, but we don't really have that. We see that here in America right now. And a lot of the layers have been peeled off, especially within these past 3 years with the pandemic. It's kind of right in our face. And I'm worried that not enough of us are we're still kind of like in a bubble, Farajii. Like, we don't see that this could really happen where they're look at the judiciary. We need to make sure we have a super majority Senate. I need to see another 200 some judges. Okay.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And this is look, here's the thing. That's exactly why we're having this conversation. Pastor Damon Blissett said that we're 13%. The pastor, he's an engineer, so he's going to give us the facts. So, Pastor, thank you so much, big brother Damon, for saying it. We're 13% of the population. But to your point, that's why we're having this conversation. If people, we're part of this democracy. And I think part of it is we haven't fully embraced what it means to have a democracy as Black folks in this current moment of 2023. A democracy does not operate on its own. It operates on the interests, the hopes, the power of the people, right? So when, as before, say 50, 60 years ago, it kind of felt like, oh, okay, we just go to the ballot box, we find and we vote our representatives in. But because of individuals like a Trump, and because of the forces that are currently polarizing American politics in this moment, right? Because of these things, now we have to wake up from being a passive citizenry to an active citizen. It was passive 50, 60 years ago.
Yes.
Now we are being like, what? We actually gotta encourage, we gotta advocate, we gotta do all this stuff for.
Yes.
That's what it is. And and people gotta be, and look, to some people, to become an active citizen is scary. To other people, it's empowering. To some people, so then you're going to see some of our people working from a place of fear. Other of our people are going to embrace the moment. And as Eminem said, lose yourself and be like, you know what? I'm going to take this moment and I'm going to run with it. Yeah. I like to see myself in that group of people. Like, this is, as much as there's a lot of uncertainty that's out there about the idea of another Trump presidency. This is the greatest time for us to redefine our citizenry and our relationship to the United States government. This is the best time.
Trump presidency, or one of those fools who we saw a couple of weeks ago on the GOP debate stage, I don't see another presidential election in this country.
Let me just tell you, if there's another Trump presidency,
It's done.
I'm not going to get, no. We're not done. Then that's the spark that we need to bring ourselves up.
We've already
That's
fuel for
the fire.
It to happen again. We already seen the preview, okay, and we already seen how it almost went wrong. And like I said, if the military had been to the will of Trump, we would already be under a dictatorship as we speak. Okay, I'm not convinced that enough people believe or understand what happened on January 6th. You know, I wonder, and I hate to say this, but you know I'm straight no chaser. Fortunately, there were not, but did more lives have to be lost for people to really comprehend the thing? You know what I'm saying? Like January 6th committee, they kind of just went away. And even in the mainstream media, we're talking about it as if it's politics as usual. And we need to recognize that it's not. And so all I'm saying is, let's get some superpower. How about we give the Senate the number of senators that they need so we can be like, to hell with Sinema and Manchin. Oh, do we remember them? The two who were obstructing everything that Democrats were trying to pass, right? We couldn't change the rules. We couldn't eliminate the filibuster because of them. How about we give them a good 55, hell, even 60? Then we could be like, all right, we gave you the superpower. I dare you not to pass the damn legislation and hold our ass to the fire. How about we do that? Can we do that? Instead of just sitting back and be like, well, I don't know if I want to vote for this one or that one. Can we just try that collectively in power? And then see how we can push and move forward. When we actually vote our numbers, then we can talk about a new political party. Then all those conversations.
Let me tell you something. Let's keep it real, Corinne. And we got to shut down. And I know it's Friday and everybody's in their space right now. So we got to shut down. And I truly, I appreciate you so much for being with us. But let me just say this very quickly. Because of the level of voter suppression tactics that are often put, especially in these Republican-controlled states, we may not ever get to that place where our people will be able to vote in full effect. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's going to be a lot of disenfranchisement. Yeah, I see that. But look, our numbers were high when we voted for Obama. When we voted for Obama, our numbers were high, right? So it's not like we don't have the power to do that. I think right now we have to think through this process, to think through our interests. Like, what is it that Black America truly wants? If Biden is the guy for the Democrats, then going back to my original point, first year, Mr. President, we need you to do this. Boom, 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 boom. First year.
But he can't.
We need a full guarantee. And I get it. Full Senate and House. So then now, look, if we understand that, So let's get our people to empower to understand the importance. And Suzette said this in the chat, how government works, to get people to connect the dots that this is not just about the president. This is about Supreme Court justice, senators, and all of this stuff, all of the smaller things underneath the state stuff.
Chuck
and
Schumer,
help people to build the
majority leader in the Senate, right?
Right.
We need to talk about him. Majority leader wields a lot of power. Okay? We need to talk about, Speaker of the House. We need to make sure, like I said, Hakeem Jeffries, are we going to leave him as minority leader, or are we going to make him the damn speaker? Okay, we gotta keep in mind how equally important all these positions are. And we can't just be focused on the president. We got to make sure our president has some power, whoever the nominee is. And I just hope we're kind of saying, yeah, I would like to see different people too, but we're at a crossroads right now. And if Biden's the guy, then we need to support him, and we need to make sure we have the Senate and the House. Because if the House retains the power that they have now, I mean, on the mainstream, Farajii, they were kind of like, oh, they thought it was going to be the red wave and they didn't get as many seats. But you know what? They still controlled the House. No matter how little or how big, they still have control. We see little Kev just doing all kind of shenanigans, right? So we need to be thinking about all of that. Let's give them some superpower and dare them. You're not going to pass it this time. I don't want to hear anything next time about 2 senators holding up all the legislation that we need, that the House passed, that they killed in the Senate. I don't want to hear that. Okay? How about we dare them? How about we do that? Can we just try that before we sit back and get discouraged? And I understand we've all been through it and we're tired, but have we actually maximized everything to our fullest capacity? The GOP didn't give up on that road. Took them 50 years, but they overturned it. Okay, I'm in one of several states that got a 6-week abortion ban.
All right. I hear you. But black, and as you talk about the GOP, you understand that black folks, we in a different category because we are still being, even in the Democratic Party.
Oh, absolutely.
Black people are the brunt of racism, sexism. We catching hell. Even in the Democratic Party. Ask Vice President Kamala Harris.
Not about personalities whatsoever.
Oh, no. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, Corinna, gotta stop it here. Our time has been very, very well spent. My sisters, man. Y'all Florida sisters, boy. Y'all be burning it up. It ain't just the Florida heat.
Don't sleep on us just because we got chaos going on in our state. You know?
My sister Corinna Denise, y'all. Hey, yo, make sure y'all blow up Corinna's social media. Just follow her on all her social media. I follow her. She be dropping jewels and all types of stuff. Jewels and foolishness.
84. Jewels and.
She did jewels and foolishness. That's what she be dropping. Don't stop. Corinna Denise, always a pleasure to have you. Thank you, Corinna. Good to see you once again.
You too. Peace, crew.
Peace. Folks, that's going to do it for us. Thank you so much for spending little extra minutes with us. Folks, make sure y'all do your due diligence. If you enjoyed the conversation, we had some other stories we wanted to talk to, but that's the nature of this conversation, nature of this platform. We gotta hash these things out. So I'm not mad at all, but we will certainly get to those other stories sometime next week, God willing. But make sure y'all do your due diligence. Support us here at blackstarnetwork.com. Just go to our website today, download the app for free, follow us on social media. Your support means everything to us. Every like, please like today's show. And my sister Lana, she's always telling people, like, why aren't we liking the show? Because these views help us. It keeps us high in the algorithm. It makes sure that more people understand, can see all the things that we're talking about. So your support means everything to us. Go to our website today, blackstarnetwork.com. And again, we want to thank all of our media partners to making sure that we get this information out there. Amazon, Plex TV, we want to thank them. Facebook, YouTube, thank you. And of course, we want to thank all of you, the Culture Crew, for joining me, being a part of the conversations, posting some fabulous comments. I mean, just some dope thoughts. I appreciate you. My sister Suzette, oh man, Suzette, we're going to bring you back in, God willing, on Wednesday. I just appreciate each and every one of y'all. And I want to thank my production team, Maddie, Chris, Shannon, Joel, and my man, King Keaton, and my sister, Lise, for making this show possible today. All right. As always, make sure y'all stick around. Stay tuned. Up next is Roland Martin and Phil to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But remember this, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong, stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. And God willing, folks, we will be back on Monday for another exciting edition of The Culture, right here, exclusively here, only here on the Black Star Network. Talk to you soon. Have a great weekend. Peace.